January 3rd, regular meeting of the Gorham School Department. I call this meeting to order and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and 1.2 roll call.
Yes. Mia DeSantis.
Here.
Michelle Littlefield.
Here.
Stuart McAllister.
Present.
Sarah Perkins.
Here.
Ann Schools.
Here.
Jennifer Whitehead.
Here.
And Nicole Yeo Fisher.
Here. Moving on to 1.3, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of December 13th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of December 13th, 2023 as presented.
Second. Motion by Stuart, second by Michelle. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. 2.0 administrative reports. We will be, because of the holiday break, our last meeting was only 2 weeks ago, so we don't have administrative reports in this packet, but will next time. Moving on to 2.2 program review, Gorham Middle School Student Council presentation. Superintendent Perry.
Absolutely. So I think as we have some folks come up, I'm going to allow them to organize and introduce themselves here in just a moment. But this is going to be our student council from the middle school. And Donna, are you going to introduce?
I am going to introduce.
All right,
so thank you
you
for having us. I'm Donna Pastore. I'm the advisor for the Middle School Student Council. It's mostly a student-run group. So I have 4 of my best and my brightest here that have put together a presentation for you to let you know the importance of the student council at the middle school. So I have Isla, Max, Riley, and Jade, and they're going to go ahead and present it for you.
Hi, thank you so much for, yeah, you want to put that in the slideshow? All right. Cool. Hi, thank you so much for having us today. We're really excited to be here and tell you the importance of student council in the middle school system. So yeah, let's get started. Max, you want to go first? What do students get out of student council?
We get confidence, want to help and improve their community, being able to work well with others, and life skills that will help in different environments.
The projects we do consist of making food drive posters, which helps promote the animal food drive we do every year, and it feeds 25 families during the holiday season.
Another one of the many projects we do is during Teacher Appreciation Week, we also do bus driver appreciation. We make individual cards for every different bus driver in our community, and we make one poster for all of them.
This one's my personal favorite. We make holiday cards for the Village Square residents. We do this for several different holidays. And this year we were fortunate enough to have Mr. Carpenter, who was a former teacher at the middle school, come and teach us how to make like really nice cards. He brought supplies and he actually like sells these cards. So it was really cool, and they go to senior citizens living in the Village Square Inn. We try really hard to make the cards like really nice. Cards, only like the best cards go, which is usually all of them because I think we do a pretty good job. Yeah, the goal is just to brighten up someone's holiday because a lot of the residents at the Village Square Inn maybe don't have family or someone to go spend the holiday with. So yeah, it's just a fun thing for them to do.
Back in November, we went to Hyde School for a leadership presentation, and we went to different workshops and learned what it really is to be a leader.
Every year we do an Animal Refuge League trip, and this year we even helped we made holiday frames for animals up for adoption, and we helped finish all wreaths for charity sale. We made over $10,000 throughout the years to the animal shelter with popcorn sales, and even this year in May, we're going to have a brick outside the animal shelter with student council on it for how much we help them.
Every year, towards the end of the school year, we go to Village and we read to students K through 2. We just read all kinds of different little stories, and after we usually go on a walk to Cumberland Farms.
As seen in the picture. At the end of the year, this isn't really doing anything towards the community, but it's just something nice to do because student council in itself is such a community, and I mean, I would have never met Max if I hadn't done student council, and I don't know, it's just like such a great way to meet people and to have fun. And this year and last year, we got to go to the Sea Dogs game, and we will get to go again in May, and it's really fun. It's just, we go watch a Sea Dogs game on a school day, which beats going to school sometimes. And yeah, it's really fun. Get to like buy food and eat food and watch games, so it's cool.
Every month or so, we have a Spirit Week, and we do PJ Day, Advisory Wars, Run with the Pack Day, and Camo Day, and Vocab Day. And it's really fun because a lot of people participate, and it's getting a lot of love in the community.
And we will soon also be directing the talent show at GMS, where we also have, where we also get to work concessions, tickets, and backstage.
We have a couple student council members who weren't able to make it today, but did want to express their feelings for student council.
And how is student council important to you? Because it gives me something to do in the afternoon and makes me feel like I'm doing something special to the community of Gorham and our school. Camilla, how is student council important to you?
Student council is like important to me because we would do things like we only have to do like schoolwork in school, and then we can do like fun things in student council. Like we also do things to, like help other things and like help other people. So yeah, that's why I like student council.
Yeah. Shakina, why is being in student council so important to you?
Well, I think it's like a great way to like make new friends and learn about new things, but it's also a good way because you got to do stuff that you normally wouldn't do. Like you can make cards for the village inn, and like you can do stuff with good cards, like and raise money for the animal shelter. And yeah.
Oh yeah. Why is student council important to you?
It's important to me because I get to help my fellow students and my community.
How do you think student council affects the community? I think we help the community because we helped raise money with popcorn for the animal shelter, and we also made multiple cards for the inn here in Gorham. How does student council affect the community?
The student council has a good impact on the community because like we raise money for shelters and we like make things for like people, like cards and things like that. Like we just made Thanksgiving cards for the inn.
How do you think student council affects the community?
I think it has a really positive outcome on the community because you do stuff that betters the community. Like we raise money for the animal shelters, which is really good, and we also make cards like seasonal cards for the village inn because not like other people won't do it.
How do you think student council affects the community?
I think it affects us in a good way because we do lots of events and we do a lot of community things. For example, last time we went to the village elementary school, they were to the kindergartens, which was a very fun activity.
So yeah, that's the importance of student council. Thanks for watching our little presentation thing. Yeah, thank you.
And I'd just like to add a couple things. Coming up in January and February, we are going to be doing a mitten and scarf tree. So that's going to benefit the Portland shelter. We're also going to be collecting toiletries for that influx of members that may be going to, or residents that may be going to the shelter. So that is upcoming for January and February. So thank you again for having us.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from anyone on the committee? Or comments, Jen?
Just wanted to say thank you so much to the committee members for coming out tonight. You guys are wonderful. You do so much good for your school and for our community. Thank you so much for being such awesome people, and keep doing the great work that you're doing. Anyone else?
Yeah, just super impressed. Very great presentation. You didn't seem nervous at all. And keep up the great work. Awesome job.
Michelle?
Yeah, and I just wanted to echo the same. Thank you for the awesome presentation, and thank you for being leaders and setting a good example within your community. It's really important, and I've heard about some of these activities you've been doing in the community, so your impact really is far-reaching. Just know that you are having a big impact, so thank you.
I have a question. How do you join student council? How do you become a member?
Anyone can join.
Actually, Donna, if you could come up to the microphone, just, thank you. I know you can project your voice, but.
I do have a good voice. Any student in the school can join, even if they're doing a sport at one time. When that sport finishes, they can come into student council at any time. We have 2 to 3 meetings a month. They are every other Tuesday, and it's after school from 2:30 to 4, so they can catch the late bus. But I have quite a few of these people right here, too, are part of the musical. So they may break and go to the musical and do their auditions and their rehearsals and such, but then they come back to student council and they can catch part of the meeting. So even if you're part of a sport or another club, you can still join student council at any time. The only thing is, again, they have to keep up their grades, they have to be role models within the school, and I have right now over 42 members in the club. So,
thank you.
If I could I add
Yes,
one thing?
please.
I really appreciated your presentation tonight and your honesty, although I really don't believe that you think the Sea Dogs game is more exciting than school, clearly. So I just wanted to say that, yeah. A great presentation, thank you.
Thank you. You are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. You do not have to stay for the rest of the meeting, so feel free to go about your night. Thank you so much for coming. Okay. Moving on to 2.3 program review, K-12 library media program presentation. And I should just point out to anyone who is staying, we clap for kids only, so please don't think it's any lack of love on our part at the end of your presentation.
Thank you. While they're getting settled, if I could, I just want to say thank you for the library media specialists that are here tonight. The purpose of tonight is just to help give you as a school committee and the general public a solid sense of what happens in our libraries and our schools. If you're thinking of libraries as what they were maybe 30 years ago, I think our libraries and our schools today are very, very different than that. So just want to give a chance for folks to understand. So Gigi, you're going to start off?
I am. That
All
was
right.
a perfect introduction. Thank you so much. It was a very tough act to follow here. I'm so sorry. We'll try to be as entertaining as the middle schoolers. Thank you for inviting us. My name is Gigi McAllister, and I'm the very proud librarian at Village School. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have a slideshow, and it is not connecting. We're going to just power through. I think you do have access to it if you need to. Yeah, okay. So on behalf of the team, thank you for inviting us. We hope to give you, as Heather said, a little glimpse into what we do every day and shine a highlight on some of our programming that's happening throughout the district. I'm going to advance my slides so that I can have my notes in front of me. So we'll start off by what we all do and all what we have in common, and then we each have the opportunity to talk about something of which we're particularly proud. In all of our buildings, we all strive to create an atmosphere to support students in becoming lifelong avid readers and critical consumers of information. We also work hard to create a physical environment that's welcoming and comfortable for the students and staff and community members that use those spaces. We all teach. Thank you. I'll just keep going.
Technical assistance.
Shall I keep talking or should I?
You can if you'd like, and just so you know, Mrs. McAllister, I've just linked in their agenda notes too that they can follow along on your slide, if you tell them where you are.
Very good. I am on the third slide that I think has things that we all have in common, the ongoing work of the libraries. So I think I was, that's okay. You keep going. We all teach, thank you.
Sorry.
Not sure, that's okay. In all 5 of our libraries, we're all teachers. At the elementary level, we have what's called a fixed schedule, where we're part of the creative arts rotation, and we teach classes to all of the students every week. At the middle school and high school, it's more of a flexible schedule, where they have the opportunity to partner with teams and teachers to create lessons and projects that help to deepen and extend student learning. We, of course, manage the library, the materials, the books of our spaces, and we work really hard to make sure that our students have current, accurate, and diverse collection of materials to use. I really wish the pictures would show because we have some really good pictures, but that's okay. So now I'll talk a little bit about Village Elementary and the library there. Thank you. So I came aboard, I've been here for a very long time, but I came back to Village last year as the librarian, and one of the things that I wanted to focus on was creating whole school literacy events where no matter if you're in kindergarten or 5th grade, that you could be part of. So some things that we've been able to do are have school-wide read-alouds and projects. There it is, yay. Fantastic. So a few times a year, we'll read a book K to 5 in every class throughout the week and do a project related to it. So this first one there is we decorated the doors with our own pumpkins after reading Spookily the Square Pumpkin. The whole week before Thanksgiving has become Gratitude Week at the Village School Library, where we'll talk about the importance of being grateful and expressing that gratitude. So we'll read some books on it, and then the students all write letters to the staff that are adorable, thanking them. It could be their current teacher, it could be a teacher they had 3 years ago. And the teachers really love this project because it just warms their heart to hear about something that they did in kindergarten that kids still remember. The school-wide animal research came out organically from the students' obsession with the animal axolotls last year, and they just would not stop talking about them. So we have mascots in the library, axolotls, and we decided in the springtime just to research it from kindergarten till 5th grade and do projects. So the students were able to talk about this animal that they were learning about no matter what grade level they were in. One other thing in the Village School Library that I am proud of, tooting my own horn here, but one of my strengths is that I have a very strong background in literacy education, mostly provided by the Gorham School Department since I've been working here. But I've been able to use that strength in the library to help strengthen my lessons and my work with teachers and students. So I'm able to target particular literacy skills in my library lessons as well, but I'm also able to work as a thought partner with our staff and do some brainstorming and collaboration and see how I can, in the library, help them to meet the literacy needs of their students. So those are the 2 things that I am proud of. I'm going to take a breath here because, unfortunately, Jessie Mason, who is the librarian at Great Falls, she's fantastic and wonderful. She has fallen sick and can't be with us tonight. So what I'll do, she sent me all her notes. Instead of winging it like I did, she was very, very organized. So I'm going to pretend for a minute. I'm going to read this as if I was Jessie. And she does have her slides here. So her first slides are about showcases, book tasting, and Dewey games. We use showcases and book tasting as ways to get our students to browse more and learn about different genres and books. Our monthly showcase is a quick 10-minute book blast with selections from picture books, nonfiction, chapter books, and graphic novels. I present a few books from each section to the class, sometimes with book talks and sometimes with a quick, hey, this looks cool, and you can find it in this section. Book tastings have us setting up the library like a restaurant with books on platters and a menu, and the students fill out with their impressions of the books that they taste. I love using games as a way to make learning more effective, and we play several different games to help students learn the locations of the books in the library. In the photo to the right, we can see students playing a geocache type game where they're given coordinates, or the book's call number, and they have to find the book to write down the secret code and determine if it's a cache, which is bookmarks and stickers. Students are super engaged throughout all of these activities, and they ask for them over and over. This next slide. This slide shows a few of our STEM-related tools. There are so many ways to use STEM to supplement our books and projects. Starting on the left, we see our IndyCars, a great tool for teaching our students coding basics, our Kiva planks, which we've used in many creative building projects, and our Legos that students often use to create something that goes along with the books that we've read, such as Building a Dream House, after reading If I Built a House by Chris Van Dusen. The final picture is a project that I started last year. We read a nonfiction book called Crossings, which tells about man-made passages for animals to safely move through their habitats after people have built roads through them. After the read aloud, students are given a piece of laminated road, and they draw a plastic animal out of a bag. They use what they know about the animal to create a safe crossing using any and all of our tools, including Kiva planks, Legos, straws, connectors, magnet tiles, paper tubes, tape, yarn, popsicle sticks, and more. Students love this project, and I hope to expand on it each year, incorporating more research as part of their design. We have a lot of fun reading, playing, and creating at Great Falls. That's Jesse's piece. Hold up the...
Hi, I'm Lori Littlefield. I don't normally squeak, but tonight I'm squeaking. This is my 15th year as a Maine certified librarian, my 8th here in Gorham. Welcome to Narragansett, where we explore book genres, make connections. I do a lot of mirror and window because every child should be able to see themselves in a story, and they should also be able to learn about other children at the same time. Where we have school library, it provides a diverse collection to meet the unique needs of every student, not just academically, but their personal interests every day. And where students love the book talks, the book connections, some of the things we all do in common. Didn't want to repeat it all. And our teachers love having our students so excited about coming back from the library with new books to read. Now, at Narragansett, students also have their voices heard. We had fifth graders in particular were obsessing about taking pictures of each other, and we know that that's not really allowed. So I found a project called Best Part of Me, and it allowed them to share something that they were proud of about themselves. I took the photographs, and then we actually filled a bulletin board, each grade 3, 4, and 5, so that it was ready to go when the parents came in for conference week. And that pretty much blew them away because it took a lot of courage. It took 4 weeks because they had to be photographed. They had to figure out what they had as their best part. Was it connected to a family member? Did they inherit that? Was it something independent of it? Was it a talent or a skill that maybe not everybody knew about yet? And so stepping out of their comfort zone, I was so proud of them. They did a great job. I also did a school-wide, Kate Mesner came out with a book called The Next President. I don't deal with politics, I never talk about it. So what I did was I took the book and I explained to the kids that right now in an elementary school somewhere in this country, there are 3 future presidents sitting in a K-5 school. And we talked about it from that perspective. Every child got to create a page in a class book of what they would do as if they were president. So the 4th and 5th grade understand the branches of government and know that they can't just do anything they want. And the kindergartners were mostly focused on owning and operating a bubblegum factory. In addition to that, they vote and they use real voting booths, but they vote for the Maine Student Book Award, which is a chapter book award. They pick in the state of Maine, the students pick the winner. not the grown-ups. And the picture books, it's called the Maine Chickadee Award. Same thing, they put them in the ballots, we count everything up. It's official, we look at how they do by class, how we do by a building, and then who ended up winning. Sometimes we get it right, they get it right. Students work together, they think, they create, they share, and they grow. We actually have standards. We have the American Association of School Library Standards for them, and they have technology standards. So that's through ISTE, and we make sure to help them reach that along the way. And it's a gift that we get to have them for 6 years. Love that part. And they become empowered learners. They drive a lot of what we want to do. They want to aim a direction, and then we try to figure out how to make it work and how they're going to benefit and directly learn from that. And these are our Gorham students, and they are the reason why I love being here. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. I'm Suzanne Dix. I'm at the middle school. I have been a school librarian for 14 years, 3 in Gorham, and I absolutely love the work that I do and the people that I work with. The middle school library is organized by genres so that students can be more capable of finding the books that speak to their interests and passions. My library advisory board, made up of students throughout all 3 grades, suggested this past fall that my genre signs were just far too subtle. So we made these big, bold ones, which I love, and they actually match really well with our library subway system. So you can take the green line to graphic novels or the blue line to young adult, and it helps kids feel more successful in the library. We've had great experiences bringing in authors to the middle school. Local cartoonist Lincoln Peirce, author of the Big Nate series, was a huge hit, as have Jennifer Nielsen and Dusty Bowling Ben. This spring, Maine novelist Rodman Philbrick is also coming to GMS. Each week, I aim to share 1 to 2 book talks with students on Google Classroom. This gives the entire student body a chance to hear about new and exciting books, even if they don't have time to make it down to the library. I hire 8th graders to assist in the library during SSR block 3 days a week. This has become a very successful and popular program. Students need to complete an application, get 2 teacher recommendations, and have an interview. I love seeing my library pages as student leaders. In fact, 3 of those lovely student council members you just met are library pages. What a nice coincidence. I have a really lovely space to work in. It's both wonderful for classroom collaboration with teachers and independent reading and research. Students particularly love the lounge area on a snowy day. That sunshine is just bliss. Thank you.
Not quite as tall as anybody before me. My name is Kelly Tibbetts. This is actually my first year here at Gorham Schools. I came from another district. I'm the new Gorham High School librarian. It's been a very busy fall for me this fall, not only learning about all the students and learning all the staff, but also learning the needs of Gorham in our library. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what we've been doing. I've had just about every 9th grade student at this point come in and check out a book for their independent or lit circle reading that they are doing with their teachers. I've had about 300 books checked out per month, I'm averaging right now, which I think is really great considering once kids hit high school, they start doing other things like going to jobs and maybe not reading as many books. So I'm hoping I can keep up the momentum there. I've been working with students on research projects across many contents, finding secondary sources, career resources, and many other topics. Research is actually sort of the background that I came to Gorham with, so I really enjoy doing that with the students and finding out what the teachers here are doing. I've also been working with our tech team really closely to increase some of the availability of the audio-visual equipment in our library at the high school. Students are really increasing their knowledge, and I'm trying to keep the library to keep up with them. So I brought up a computer station for photo and video editing, as students are using a lot of that in their classes. And hopefully going to have a recording booth for recording things like podcasts and stuff by the end of this semester, if all goes well. I have a couple students working on a prototype for me right now. In the background, I am working to bring in Maine author Betty Cully this March, and she's actually going to let the 8th graders come as well, so all 8th graders, 9th graders, and creative writing students will get to see her speak about what it's like to write a novel in verse, which is pretty neat. I'm also, oh, I missed one, sorry. I've also been working with teachers a lot on collaboration. We had a visit from Eric Kurtz, who is from Achieve. I want to say Exceed, because he exceeded my expectations at that presentation. But I've been working with the staff really closely to talk about how artificial intelligence has changed education and working on ways to support them from the library's perspective on their curriculum. And then lastly, I think one of my biggest goals as an educator since the beginning of my career to now has been trying to create a collaboration culture. And I'm trying to bring that into my library as well, making sure that it's a place that students feel like they can come to work during study halls, also during their senior privilege times. For teachers that just need a little bit more space for something, I had the forensics class working on a crime scene investigation where the second-year forensic students set up a crime scene for the first-year forensic students to investigate what happened. So that was like the talk of the library for quite a few weeks. And also just offering up my space for teachers when they need some one-to-one time with students, extra help, and need to be outside of their classroom space. I'm really hopeful that that will continue as people become more familiar with me, and I really appreciate the welcome that I've gotten here in Gorham, so thank you so much. And I think that's it for mine. So back to Lori.
And I'm going to wrap it up. So in closing, we champion reading to support our students to become lifelong readers. That's what our goal is. We're certified library professionals who share our expertise with our kids every single day. We have the knowledge of curriculum, student interest, current literary trends. It's important to continue to buy books because they're changing every day, to stimulate student growth, creativity, and a love of reading. And we would love a seat at the table if you're ever going to be working on library policy. And we have left you a direction that we're wanting to head, and that is as becoming a future-ready librarian. And the framework is comprehensive. It's going to take us a few years to get there, but this is what we're aiming for. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments?
I have a question. Sure. I'll start with a comment. So, and very selfishly, because I have two girls at Narragansett who love the library, so thank you so much.
You're welcome.
They do. They come home with their books. It's just amazing. They really, really enjoy it. So thank you all for what you do. I guess one of my questions would be, what are some of the challenges that you're facing, or what would you like to see help with?
At the K-5, because we teach so many classes every day, every week, we really need a stronger support system. My assistant is here, Sarah's in the back, but we don't get enough time because the way the schedules work out, our assistants end up having to be subs in other places. They also have a lot of duties to cover, and so I'm losing that assistant for hours every day. And I have wonderful parent volunteers who come in and help me catalog books so that I can try to stay caught up, because one person can't do all of the work. It's not possible. It's not the person. The job has become a lot.
Anybody at the middle school or high school want to chime in on that? Challenges?
So I would second what Lori was saying about support. So I actually don't have an ed tech or any sort of support person, which has been fine, as I've been starting the year, but it has become more noticeable that I could use that extra person. So when books come in, they sort of sit on my desk for a while before I have a chance to do much with them, when I would love to get them right out on the shelves, because I am working in classrooms and with teachers during their prep time. So again, the schedule, the ebbs and flows of the schedule make it tough for me to get everything done. And then where I'm trying to work and learn, I'm learning from the students what they need, and then trying to work and implement what I learn from them. It would be great if I had a little bit more flexibility to be out and seeing what they're doing in class, because right now all I get to see is the background part, and I would love to be able to go and see what they actually produce after, when they're in their English class doing the presentation, but I can't leave the physical space of the library. I'm very tied to that space, so I would love to be able to see some more of the other end of it after I've worked with them on the projects. So it would be just a little bit more support staff, I guess, would be my bigger challenge right now.
I would say this isn't necessarily universal for middle school, but this is, I just today had to send out 25 overdue letters. I think post-COVID, we're still coming back and there's still a lot of loss. And we're still reminding kids about all their responsibilities to maintain all their belongings. The lost and found at the middle school is generally a disaster. Just in general, I think just as a statement, we're just all working together to, build back the reader. So.
Michelle?
I just had a comment. I had the same question as Nicole, but I wanted to say thank you so much for this presentation. As a parent of a child who struggled to learn to read, to see how you make it fun and really bring life to literacy. It's amazing, and the work that you do is incredibly important. So I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being there for our kids and creating welcoming spaces for them.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. You are welcome to stay. You don't have to stay. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, 2.3 program review, gifted and talented program presentation. Superintendent Perry?
Yes, I believe actually that we've got a group of folks coming up. There you go. Come right up to don't be bashful. With a presentation about our gifted and talented program. Again, similar to the library presentation, the goal here is to just allow, especially some of our new school committee members, to better understand what our gifted and talented program is like here in the Gorham schools. And you have 3 great representatives here that can talk to each of the grade levels and what we see as part of our gifted and talented program for K through 5, or pre-K to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 through 12. And I think they're working on trying to get that operational for the presentation. Oh.
I think he said if
I don't see anything in the background.
the whole thing is black.
If it's not going to come up, it might still be worth kind of.
I've got a 1 minute.
Oh, she's got I've got a 1 minute. All right, we've got 1 minute. Technology is working with us tonight.
There was
There's a good thing there's 2 people up there.
It's just
plug it in. Sorry. This is it here, right? Yeah. Okay. Should be all set in just a sec.
There, I see something popping.
There it is.
Very talented person right there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and so I don't know who's going to be first, but this is our gifted and talented staff. I'll allow them to introduce themselves as they speak. So,
Yeah. Hi, so thank you, everybody, for having us tonight. So I am Danielle Quimby, so I'm the gifted and talented coordinator for kindergarten through 8th grade.
And I'm Rebecca Ambrose. I'm the coordinator for the high school.
And I'm Christine Hurricanes. I'm the ed tech in K through 5.
So our presentation goals for you tonight, we're going to go over our identification criteria because we've made some changes, our current programming, what it looks like at all the different levels, and some ideas for opportunities for growth and just future programming thoughts.
Okay. So we thought it might be helpful to first provide some context around the Maine Department of Education's guidelines for gifted and talented programs for anybody who might not be familiar with those. Since the 1991-92 school year, the state of Maine has mandated that all districts identify and provide services for its gifted students. While Chapter 104 provides the criteria for the identification procedures and instructional practices, it is up to the local districts to select the specific assessment tools and instructional models that best meet its needs, which is, we particularly appreciate that. Districts are required to submit documentation to the state annually, and the state then provides funding for staffing and instructional supplies. Okay, so in terms of who our students are, again, under the State of Maine Chapter 104 guidelines, we have the definition of gifted students that is provided to us. Gifted and talented children shall mean those children in grades K through 12 who excel or have the potential to excel beyond their age peers in the regular school program to the extent that they need and can benefit from programs for the gifted and talented. Gifted and talented children shall receive specialized instruction through these programs if they have exceptional ability, aptitude, skill, or creativity in one or more of the following categories. So we have for academics, ELA, math, science, and social studies are the recognized categories for academics, and the arts would include visual or performing arts. Although as a former specialist, I would also group those in terms of academic areas as well. Okay, Danielle.
Yeah, so that was a lot of information to go over. So basically, how do we find those students in our district? So by using the state's criteria, we developed a district-wide identification process. So our screening process begins in 3rd grade. So we look over the NWEA scores, and anyone that's like within the top 10%, they're selected to be part of our screening process. Students that don't have NWA scores in the top 10% can still be nominated from a parent or a teacher based on like other assessment data or classroom observations. And then there's also a characteristics and behaviors of gifted and talented students rating scale that classroom teachers fill out. And if students exhibit 75% of those traits, then they meet like the subjective criteria. So there's a lot of things that we look at. So there's achievement criteria, and then there's also the cognitive abilities test that students would take if they're kind of advancing through the screening process. Okay. Continuing on with all that information. So there's 2 types of academically gifted identification. There's general intellectual ability and specific academic aptitude. So the general intellectual ability is when a student is gifted in both reading and math. So they're dually identified. Their specific academic aptitude, which is when a student is just identified in reading or math. So students who have a consistent test score of 95th percentile or above on the NWEA meet the achievement criteria. And then students who score at or above 95th percentile on the COGAT meet the cognitive aptitude criteria. And then we have that characteristics and behavior rating scale that classroom teachers fill out. If there are 75% of the traits on there, that's the subjective criteria. So students don't have to meet all 3, they have to meet 2 out of the 3 to receive a gift identification in our district.
Okay, so under the current programming model that we use here in Gorham, there are 3 different tiers of instructional differentiation that we offer. So tier 1, which would be the bottom level of our pyramid here, is the differentiation of content, process, and product that would typically happen in the regular classroom for all students. Tier 2 would include specialized programming choices offered to students. This could include students who have been referred to us but have not yet completed the identification process. Some examples might be we've done Odyssey of the Mind before with some identified, some referred students. Social studies and science excursions that we're currently doing would be some other examples as well. And then for tier 3, that would include the implementation of personalized learning plans for students who have been identified, and those plans would be in their content areas of identification. Here on the right side of this slide, we also have our numbers. I'm not sure how well you can see all of them. They're pretty small, but this shows the students who are currently receiving services here in Gorham, broken down by grade span and then content area.
So these are just instructional principles of the Chapter 104 that we work with. Chapter 104 establishes principles to guide the instruction of gifted students. So we have math groups or ELA groups that go beyond the curriculum that provide challenging opportunities for growth and meet the needs of our students.
Oh, sorry. That's fine. So what our particular programming goals look like here in Gorham in the SAIL program, we have two main goals. First of which is to provide opportunities, resources, and encouragement for the development of and application of gifted behaviors in our gifted population. And then secondly, to provide learning experiences and support systems that promote the interaction of creativity, task commitment, and above average ability.
Okay. So onto the fun stuff here. We've done a lot, I feel like, to increase our programming opportunities for our students over the last couple of years. So like, as you can see, this little chart up here, not really a chart, but the information up here goes back to 2021 to 2022. So you can kind of see how it's grown over the years. But at the elementary level, we have consistently provided pull-out groups for grades 4 through 5 in ELA and math. We used to provide excursions for like monitored students, which are the students who were screened but didn't meet the gifted criteria. But we now have a resource hub that has been created for teachers K through 8 with tons of activities that can be utilized in the classroom whenever with anybody. So we kind of feel like those resources are available whenever. So we have replaced those excursions with the monitored students with science and social studies excursions now instead, which has been pretty cool. And one really big change for the middle school that you'll notice by looking at this slide is that we are now providing like many SAIL opportunities. Last year we created consistent pull-out programs for students in 6th through 8th grade. And this year we're still going pretty strong, and we've added a social studies group as well. So that's one big change at the middle school. So to go into a little bit more detail about what we actually are doing with our students, our programs really focus on discovery-based learning. So this gives students the opportunity to be in control of their learning by resolving open-ended problems with their own way. So they're encouraged to construct their own knowledge while investigating complex questions and completing challenging tasks with students who learn like them. So I'm going to have Christine speak to elementary and some of the cool things she's doing with her students.
Let me just take a breath. So to put it, we just love being with kids, and we like to challenge them where they're at. So what we're doing in ELA at the elementary school is they learn about figurative language in 5th grade. And to dive deeper into that, we focused on alliteration, which is the repeating of the first initial sound. And so as a collective, we thought, well, could this be used for besides writing beautiful poetry? Well, next door, our room is near a speech teacher, and we got to talk to her, and we learned about the importance of alliteration in helping kids that struggle with sounds. So my students came up with the idea. We made a alliteration book or tongue twister and presented it to the speech teachers, and they got to share it with their kids, and my students were a part of that. So they took that knowledge of alliteration and applied it deeper. So that's an example of what we do at the elementary school for ELA. And for math, which I'm real proud about, is we're doing more STEM projects, which is challenging students across the disciplines. And the idea came to me with Food Truck Thursdays, which is very yummy and popular with the kids. We paired up with Moe's Munchies, and they in 5th grade, they learned about adding and subtracting decimals, which is money. And so we took that again deeper and learned about a business model, and they made business plans. They learned about interest rates and loans. And we had someone speak about the relationship between small business and banks. And Moe's came with us and they gave us a challenge of actually developing a menu item. And if you were there this summer, it was called the Potato Tornado, and they were very proud of that title. And we have that same challenge this year. But it brings math at a deeper level for them, and that's what we do in SAIL at the elementary level.
And at the elementary and middle school, we have science and social studies excursions happening for the first time this year. So our science students, they wrote nature notes for the Gulf of Maine Research Institute Field Journal. We've already submitted the nature notes. We're currently waiting for peer reviews, but we also receive nature notes from students from other schools. We have to peer review as well. If we get 3s and 4s on the rubric, they get to be published in the journal. So we're anxiously awaiting that. So that's kind of where we are right now. And then social studies, students are working on a student cam documentary competition. So it's a nationwide competition. They have to do a documentary that is it 4 to 5 minutes? It's pretty quick. Something they would like to see changed in the next 20 years, or something that they think was the biggest change over the last 20 years. There's some money involved in winning that competition, so I think that's been a little bit enticing. So at the middle school, students work with me during their WIN periods and during SSR. So I have ELA groups for 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and also for math. So ELA, there's Odyssey of the Mind teams. There's 4 teams this year. There's book groups for students that don't want to do Odyssey of the Mind, and there's also creative writing contests as well. Math, we're doing a Math Madness tournament, which is a nationwide tournament that's set up bracket style. So we're going up against other middle school teams, which has been super fun. And we do STEM projects. I just started a Rubik's Cube unit with them, which is exciting as well. We're gonna try to have a little competition on who can solve the Rubik's Cube the fastest. A lot of them don't know how to solve it yet, which is surprising to me, but a lot of them don't know, so we're gonna figure it out. Yeah, and I already spoke to social studies and science, so. Oh, also with science as well, we have nature notes, but we also have USM CubeSat challenge. I had students do that last year, but they basically make a little mini satellite, and they get to send it up into space. So we have a bunch of different opportunities available.
Okay, and for high school, prior to when my position was created, this is my 6th year here, actually, we didn't have really staffing availability for the high school level. So in my time here, we've sort of been evolving with our programming. It is, the current programming model is primarily a guided study model. So students typically are scheduled with me for study hall whenever scheduling permits that to happen. There is a resource for them. I present them with opportunities. They can just use the time as a study hall if they like, but I'm there to support them, to encourage peer collaboration, to do check-ins and that sort of thing. So some of the supports that I do offer include independent studies and extended learning opportunities that are really tailored to students' specific interests. I do a lot of surveys with students, try to find out what their specific interests are and find ways that we can kind of connect to those. Enrichment projects, currently I have Danielle's group from last year of CubeSat students who were finalists are continuing and are participating again this year, and we've brought along some other students this year to participate in that. I do provide executive functioning support. We have some twice exceptional students who are gifted and also have a disability and might need some support around organization and that type of thing, so I do offer that as needed. Particularly if I have students who have 504 plans, I try to assist in the implementation of plans. Let's see, this year I'm also I'm helping to offer my support in teaching computer science so that we're able to offer more computer science at the high school. We do have a population of students who definitely need that, and certainly it's not limited to students in the program. Consulting with content area teachers is needed, especially if the students make a request. I try to assist in that way. And then goal setting with the students, and then just supporting Danielle at the middle school whenever needed. So right now, that involves the student cam documentary. Okay.
So we've done some really exciting improvements this year in our program. We've, as you can see, we've updated our criteria. We've done the science and social studies excursion. Danielle has worked hard on this resource hub, which is great for teachers to use to find differentiation with their lessons. And my favorite one is this, it's the effective survey that students use for their goal setting with their PLPs. And as an educator, you always wonder if you're reaching everybody, if they're being seen. And so I have 4th and 5th graders, and they filled out this survey about like, what do you think about yourself? Do you struggle with homework? How are you with your, organizing your homework? And it's amazing how some of the kids that I thought had it together struggle with perfectionism. They struggle with procrastination. They have low self-esteem. And as an educator, I'm like, wow, that is valuable information, because we want to see these gifted kids and challenge them and help them and support them with what they need. So that was a great resource for the kids, but I think also as educators to have that insight, which is invaluable. So I'm really proud of the recent improvements we've done in the program so far.
Just to piggyback off of that, we created a new PLP format where students are creating 2 goals. There's an academic goal and a personal goal. So they used that survey data to come up with those goals, and they're currently like reflecting on how they think they're doing. They had to come up with action steps on how they're going to meet those goals. So that's what Christine was speaking to. It's been really valuable information. All right, Christine, you're coming back up.
So one of the current challenge we have in the SAIL department is a lack of a teacher at the K-5 level. I'm the ed tech there, and I have 47 students in 3 schools that I service, and that's direct instruction with math and ELA. So as an ed tech, I'm unable to proactively communicate with parents. I'm not able to administer the COGAT, which is our testing tool in our program. And I'm not able to participate in parent and teacher conferences as an ed tech, and I think that's such a vital part to build those relationships with parents and to check in. To facilitate RTI meetings, which is where we meet with teachers and manage the PLP plans. And also just to be a support for teachers, to meet with them and provide resources or, brainstorm some questions if they're struggling with differentiation in the classroom.
All right. So we have some thoughts for moving forward. This is Odyssey of the Mind, by the way. 8th grade team, they went to World Finals last year, went to Michigan State University. It was pretty cool. It was exciting. All right. So some possibilities for future programming. We would love to consider the idea of possibly being able to begin services in 3rd grade. We could start working with students twice per week in a pull-out group format if the scheduling allowed, if we were able to figure out how we could do that. Provide more support to classroom teachers through consultation, training, and the big one, like co-planning. Try to come up with some type of system where we are meeting with teams and really an active participant in the planning piece. And then provide more classroom push-in support. So those are kind of all of our big goals for future ideas. Was I going to talk about this? Because I certainly can. I will. So we do have some ways to stay connected if you're interested. I have a SAIL blog that I update pretty regularly with information and things that we're doing. Christine has a blog that she's putting lots of pictures on with things that she's doing as well with students. And then we do have a SAIL program website that you can access through our district website if you're ever looking for the nitty-gritty information. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Questions or comments? Anne?
So my daughter's in SAIL in 5th grade, and I just have to say it's been such a positive experience for her. And that food truck whole thing, oh my goodness, we've heard so much about it. It was wonderful. So thank you for all that you do. This was really eye-opening to just learn a lot more about the program. I don't think I've seen a program review in my time here, but I also could have missed one. I don't know. So thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Nicole?
Thank you. That was an excellent presentation. I guess my question is, Christine, so I know in the list of things that you can't do, is that just based upon licensure, or I didn't know if you could just expand upon why it is that you can't do some of those things?
That's a good question. It's because I'm an ed tech, and there's certain responsibilities that ed techs do, and then there's certain responsibilities that a teacher does. But I am endorsed in the GT Chapter 105 programs, Chapter 104, so.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Thanks. All right, you're welcome to stay. You don't have to stay. 2.4 program review, public safety presentation. Superintendent Perry.
Yes, I think there's a little transition that's going to occur here. I think in your agenda notes you can see the slide presentation that Brian's going to deliver. I suspect he's got a Cliff Notes version of that. Yeah. So there's more information in there than he's going to actually review. But the purpose of this conversation is a public review of some of our emergency planning. And as you know, state statute requires that each year the school committee reviews our emergency plans in depth. You will have a workshop session on this on the 24th of January. That will be an executive session where we can go more deeply into the actual work of our emergency planning and what that might look like. Tonight's version is a public version, which really just talks generally about the structure and the format of our planning and what folks could expect from that kind of a viewpoint if there were to be emergencies that we had to respond to here in the district. So Mr. Porter is the person that oversees much of that work at the district, and so I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. That is not an easy act to follow. I couldn't be more proud of these educators and, of course, our students. So amazing. So I will try to make this brief and give you the bigger version, and then we can certainly dig into more detail during the workshop session. But I did want to make a public presentation as well. So this is fundamental and foundational to all of our work, and that is the safety planning and overview of our school district and sort of how we move in that realm. So tonight I really just want to look at three big areas, like to begin with, our assets and current safety protocols, what's been some of our recent work, and then what's next in terms of our direction we want to move into, planning and refinements, training, communication, and then other levels of supports that we can strengthen throughout that. So assets and current safety protocols, and I've said this before publicly and privately, we have an amazing positive relationship with the community agencies we work with, the Gorham PD, Gorham Fire Department. We have worked very closely with them well over 10 years and developed an amazing connection to them, and they are fundamental in our work in the schools, especially through our school resource officers that you'll hear more about. Collaborations with them include safety trainings, incident debriefs. We also work under a district-wide emergency plan and can in alignment with the NIMS, or National Incident Management System, and the state of Maine, which also follows those same guidelines. We have updated our parent emergency management plan that is posted on the web, and that really gives the big overview of our large district plan that's good for public consumption, if you will. And it's an easier version to see, but it gives the key pieces. When we look at the scope of emergency planning, we usually look at evacuation incidences where you have to leave the site or school, shelter in place and lockout where you're staying put, lockdown situations that are a little more intense where there's some active threat inside the facility, and then pandemic planning, which we've way too familiar with and still emerging out of that, but happily so. We will look a little bit later at concepts of ALICE framework and talk about what that is, and then our emergency notification and the communication systems. So when we look at the school security and our overall emergency plan and goal plans, we have a lot in place that help us stay safe. So things from safety access to the buildings, badges, our radio communications, lots of security cameras, secured entry, visitor passes, security protocols, weekly radio checks, school-based plans that dig deeply into specific anecdotal and important pieces for each site, and then practicing in terms of drills, fire and safety, and inspections. Evacuation plans, that's a whole nother space that we look at of how we respond to crisis situations, how we connect with our regional resources and emergency operations right here in Gorham. Mobile response teams from each school and central office supports. The bus mobilization when we would have incidents that we would have to deal with. These have all been looked at and worked with. Communication with our school personnel, students, parents, and community, and then different kinds of off-site locations, whether it be for an incident-dependent or parent reunification needs. These are all in queue and processed at different levels. We also look at the whole idea of bus safety and where that fits in. So we have special training and professional learning around that. Bus evacuation drills are conducted twice annually. Incident planning, safety equipment. It's been a big focus over the last few years to get indoor and outside video cameras installed, and especially on our buses, all of our buses. Consistent meetings with transportation, administration, and the Gorham Police Department, and then restorative training with our drivers through the assistant principal group. So very important pieces there. The other big piece is around the emergency notification and communications. And these are areas that we are continuing to push our efforts, you'll see in a little bit. Threat assessment guides, we follow FBI threat assessment in terms of overview and deciding what are low, medium, or high-risk situations. We also have incident command roles and unified command processes. So when things happen, we know what that chain of command looks like and who's in charge and where those kind of flow process-wise will go. Radio training and weekly check-ins we do. We have a software in place which is called Securely, which is really great, and it monitors student communications and alerts us to any threat or concerning situations, not even threat, just things that we need to take action and check in with students on and make sure that everybody is safe, physically and otherwise. Links training is a big piece that we're moving into, and we'll talk definitely more about that. It's a framework for enhancing our communications and being able to, in the moment, alert when dangerous situations come up. Another piece that we'll talk about in just a moment is something sort of affectionately called CSTAG, building level teams, but these are teams that work together and look at active threat situations within the school. And then, of course, we're always looking at our public outreach and communications and crisis communications. Again, as we noted, we have district and site-based emergency planning teams in place. We have annual trainings that go through the barrage of different kinds of things that might happen, including lockdown and evacuation drills, bus safety drills, and the use of ALICE protocols. Security cameras are all linked up to GPD, and we have a really sophisticated integrated radio communication system across the schools and with our first responders. This year also, we've expanded our ALICE scenario training, and with the central office have included them in the radio access as well. So that's really important. What does ALICE stand for? I'm not going to detail this a lot here, but it's an acronym that really talks about a framework for responding. It refers to ideas about being alert in terms of being alert to a situation that may be possible or happening, lockdown, informing others, being able to counter if necessary, and evacuate if necessary. The important part to understand about ALICE is it is a non-sequential, proactive, and empowering framework so that folks can make decisions in the moment as they need to. And this is certainly with our adults and our older students as well. All students are trained in the ALICE model. It is age dependent, and all staff are trained annually in the ALICE model, as well as scenario training every so many years, and this year was one of them. We have something else called the CSTAG teams, which are fairly new in our school as of last year. This is a comprehensive school threat assessment guidelines. team that is around behavioral threat assessments within the school. We were able to do this in Gorham because we were the recipients, or we decided to take on that as a state level federal grant. And what that has allowed us to do is train teams in every school to be able to respond to threats that might come up and really look at it critically as a team of individuals working together. I will go over this in more detail with you, but certainly it looks at ways to come together and debrief around student issues that may be at risk or behavioral threats that sort of bubble up, and how we can look at that and how we can manage that. It's really exciting work, and it's really brought the teams together in a framework that is very beneficial to help our schools. Recent work, again, we are very alert to any threats that come up as a result. We work with something called the State of Maine Situational Awareness Bulletins that come our way. Response to school violence incidents across the U.S. and certainly in Maine as of this fall. We constantly review our plans with the district leadership team, debrief discussions, build upon the past work of last year. We have weekly radio checks and ongoing training as needed. And then again, our revision of our parent plan. Throughout the year, we have various parent safety briefings. I know at the middle school and high school we've had that. This year, some of the K-5s were able to offer those through their PI meetings. The superintendent puts out blog communications and so forth. We have a lot of trainings through our DLT and at school level. We have been working really a lot over this year in getting the LINK system in place, the maintenance and technology testing of these, even as of over the holiday vacation, upgrading some of the systems, checking on some things going on. We're implementing those behavioral threat assessment teams in the school. We also are collaboratively training with the municipal employees and again, revising and updating our parent plans. What's next? We want to continue to refine that, to deepen our work, especially with the LINK system. And the next iteration is to move it towards staff connection, where staff with laptops can also access this framework to communicate in the event of an active threat. And then currently our training and professional learning opportunities across all of those areas noted. We want to continue to enhance our communication with parents. This is a beginning step, but to have that outreach, especially with the police department, the community, and strengthening our partners and partnerships and relationships with the overall community of Gorham, and especially our pre-K through 12 families in terms of awareness, navigating the social media dangers, and so on. So these are some of the directions we're looking at through our various groups within Gorham. Again, very brief overview. We'll have the slideshow available to others as well, but we'll dig more deeply into this in a workshop setting and so forth. Any quick questions? And again, this is kind of a tough act to follow after all these really fun presentations and amazing things happening, but it is foundational to our work, and just wanted to let you know that there's a lot going on behind the scenes around that.
I really appreciate this presentation in addition to the one that we receive annually. I know it's by necessity very high level, but just so that the public can know that there is a lot of work going on in this arena. I also really appreciate you making that connection on that last page between social emotional learning and overall mental health and social media and security in our schools. So definitely an important area to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And as just a closing note, I couldn't be more proud of my colleagues that we all work together. Everybody does an amazing job, and it's a great space to be. Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on to 3.0 communications, 3.1 public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to make a comment? Seeing none, we will move on to 3.2 student school committee members.
Hi. So we have a few things going on at the high school. First and foremost, midterms will be starting the week of January 16th. Winter sports are in full swing. We have a program called Adopt a Classroom, which started before winter break and will continue on most half days. In this program, high school students visit classrooms throughout the Gorham elementary schools and work with the younger kids. And Gorham Night is at the main Celtics this Friday, January 5th. $2 from every ticket that is sold for the 7 p.m. game will go to Gorham High School, and fans get a free Celtics hat with their purchase.
And I think this was touched on a little bit last meeting, but there are currently 2 virtual career exploration programs available at GHS. One is an environmental science option that meets on Wednesdays starting on February 28th, and the other is an artificial intelligence and machine learning opportunity that will meet on Mondays starting on February 26th. And then there is additionally a much more hands-on program called the Titan Challenge, and it's designed for students who are interested in entrepreneurship and business. And all of these extended learning opportunities, which we called ELOs, which I think Ms. Ambrose was mentioning earlier, aim to introduce kids to more careers and just to give them more connections in the community. So yeah, those are the 3 options currently. But yeah.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Thank you very much. I've lost my place. Moving on to 3.3, Superintendent's Report.
Well, thank you. Just before I jump into my report, just adding on to the wonderful mention of the Titan Challenge, I just want folks to know that I've been quite engaged with Junior Achievement. It's a group that sponsors that across the state and trying to get that into the high school. And so I'm really, really interested in how that goes at the high school, and I would like to emphasize the fact that if we're going to have a team at the high school competing in Junior Achievement, that I would definitely like to beat some of the schools that are, have been doing that traditionally. Yarmouth comes to mind, just FYI. So just a little competitive twist there for those that might be interested in doing the Junior Achievement Challenge with Titan Challenge. So moving on though to non-competitive things. Wanted to mention a couple of things at the state level, some good news overall in funding, some opportunities that are coming our way. One is dealing with our pre-K grant, which, if you remember, our pre-K grant, expansion grant, was for 1 year, which was due to be ending June 30th of this coming year. It looks like there's going to be an opportunity to expand that into the next fiscal year, FY25, for those of us that were in the first year of implementation. And so there may be an opportunity to kind of take some funds that maybe we weren't able to quite get to and expend those in the second year, but also add some potential funding to that as well. So that's something we're keeping our eye on, and I'll update you as we get more information on that, but that looks to be good news coming later on this spring. Another piece of good news, we've recently actually have already been notified from the state of a allocation grant from the state dealing with literacy. The state received a $10 million grant for literacy instruction and utilization through federal funds, and they have allocated that to schools through a foundation formula that they've utilized, and we are eligible for about $47,000 of that. We're thinking strategically about how we want to utilize that. We're going to learn more. There's a meeting coming up tomorrow, actually. Wow, around what, the types of uses that we could have for that, and so we're going to be looking into that closely, and hopefully that'll be some good news and maybe even positively impact our FY25 budget development. Wouldn't that be nice? Moving on, I did want to mention to members of the public that we have updated our website. When you go to school committee and then budget information or budget development information, you can click on that, and there you now see some live links there about FY25 budget development. So those that are interested in following the process, it has definitely begun in earnest and will be becoming more and more public as we work with the school committee in February. But there's a lot of good information in there right now to start getting foundational information if folks are interested. So please go to our website, check it out. A lot of good information there, including a running Q&A document that was developed from the joint meeting with the town council held December 5th. That's a good running document that we hope is going to be added to as we go through the process. So that's on our website. I did want to mention the Fiscal Sustainability Committee. It looks like that's moving forward very nicely. It's a joint committee between the school and the town council that we talked about as a result of some of the challenges that we had last year with our budget development process. And that looks to be getting ready to get started in February. So that's on track. We don't anticipate that's going to impact FY25 budget development. It's just too early because we're not starting until February. But we do anticipate that this group will have some impacts on FY26 and beyond for budget development conversations moving forward. So just something to keep an eye on and keep thinking about. And I think that the rest of this stuff I think is pretty good. It's certainly, I'm open to questions that people might have, and this can be found online on our website as well. So anything else, I'll end there since we've had some long nights of presentations, very informative presentations, mind you, but a lot of information there.
All right, any questions, comments? Yes, Stuart.
Superintendent Perry, I did want to highlight something in your report that I do think deserves time. So we continue to be in need of substitute nurses in the Gorham schools, looking for either RN or LPN level nurses to substitute, even if it's only one day a week.
Yeah.
You know, our nurses are responsible for a lot more than Band-Aids and boo-boos. A lot of reporting requirements and time that they don't get to take care of our students and all of their other responsibilities. So if you're interested or know somebody who's interested, we definitely have a need.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stuart.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent Perry. Moving on, 3.4, School Committee Communications. Not to throw us all off, but Michelle, you want me to start with you since you might have to scoot? Okay.
I don't have anything other than to say I hope everybody had a restful break. And yes, I'm not being rude. I have to go catch a flight soon, so I'll be heading out a little bit early. Thank you.
Anne?
I'm saying I hope everybody had a great break, and welcome back.
Mm-hmm. I would say it was great to catch some sports over the break. Really good for my little ones to see some high school sports and have their own games and such. And yeah, that's it for me.
Jen?
Yep, it's Happy New Year. Welcome back, everyone.
Mia?
Big thank you to all the subs that I see are picking up jobs, which is very much appreciated. For every position vacancy that's picked up, it means that an ed tech isn't being pulled for those duties and those children are able to receive those services. So that is very much appreciated. I did notice on the elementary website that the chorus is singing the national anthem at the Maine Mariners game. It's on February 2nd, but I wanted to mention it tonight because that will happen before our next meeting. So that just sounds really like a really fun thing to go see. So, yeah.
Stuart?
So I want to, I'm going to plug the New Year's Eve Gorham celebration for next year. If you did not get a chance to do that, I highly recommend it. There's a lot of things to do for all ages. Half of the event is split between here at the Municipal Center and the high school. There's a lot of things going on. I think from 3 o'clock right up till the fireworks at 9 o'clock. And our Gorham robotics team puts on a wonderful dinner at the high school cafeteria and a little display of what they worked on the previous year for their robotics. It's really impressive. So I encourage everybody to come out for that next year, which I'm sure will be a even bit bigger and better event.
And I have nothing to add, so we'll move on to 4.0, School Committee Standing and Special Committees. 4.1, Finance and Facilities. Stuart?
We have not met since our last regular meeting. Holiday vacations interrupted that schedule. Our next meeting is going to be on January 17th at 6 o'clock upstairs at the central office.
I assume no questions about that. 4.2, Policy. Stuart?
So policy met earlier this evening. We reviewed some feedback from policies that are up for second read, and we also reviewed the policies that are up for first read tonight, and we'll talk about that in a little bit because there is a lot.
And your next meeting is?
Sorry, yes. Next meeting is February 7th at 6 o'clock upstairs in the conference room.
And 4.3, personnel. Ann?
We have not met since the last meeting. Our next meeting will be on January 17th upstairs at central office.
4.4, vocational education. Jen?
We have not met since the last meeting. The next meeting is January 11th, 8:30 a.m. at PATH.
And our ad hoc committees, Gorham Teaching and Learning. Ann?
We also have not met since the last meeting. The next meeting is on January 22nd at 2:30 via Zoom.
Anti-Racism and Equity Committee. Nicole?
Yeah, we met earlier today as a large group. We are continuing to talk about some different goals and things that we want to complete as a larger group. The Equity Committee committees continue to meet and continue to work. I will plug our Eat and Learn, which I wrote down, scheduled for March 12th. So for folks to put that on the calendar, more to come on that. And our next meeting is, did I lose my place? Oh gosh. Next meeting is scheduled for, our full group meeting is scheduled for February 15th at 5:30 at the high school library.
Thank you. Dropout Prevention Committee. Jen?
We have not met since the last meeting. The next meeting is to be determined.
Alternative Education Vision Committee. Ann?
We have not met since the last meeting. Our next meeting is January 8th at 4:30 at the GMS Library.
All right. 5.0, unfinished business. 5.1, second reading of the use of physical restraint and seclusion policy, JKAA. Stuart, would you like to introduce this?
Yes, so we, at the last meeting, we introduced for first read this policy. The changes, most of the changes came out of some legislative changes, and so these changes were recommended, or rather required by law and recommended by Drummond Woodsum, and then a couple of contextual changes that the policy committee made. There was there was one question on some of the language used in the policy, and specifically talking about like mentions of brief physical contact with a student, and I think that is intentionally, I don't want to say vague, but it's not specific, and it is that way by law. And so there was a question as whether or not there was a way to define how much that is, and I think it was left subjective intentionally. And so because of the way the law was written, the policy committee is recommending that it stay the same, and our attorneys are recommending that as well. So there were no changes since it was presented for first read. And that's it.
All right. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve of policy JKAA as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jen. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor? 7-0. 6-0. All right. Moving on, 6.0, new business. 6.1, action is needed on communications and reports. None. 6.2, first reading of the following policies. Stuart, I'm going to let you.
All right, so as promised, the policy committee's been working on reviewing policies that haven't been looked at in some cases many years, some 10, 15, 20 years. So here is, we have a list of 20 policies tonight. 5 of those, before we talk about those ones, I will mention first the diversity, equity, and inclusion policy, which is a new policy for Gorham schools. This is a policy that came out of our diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. It has been reviewed by many groups, and they did an excellent job bringing us a very thoughtful and complete policy. So that's what's up for first read tonight. Again, this is brand new. We reviewed the policy and compared it with others in the area. And there is only one other school in Cumberland County that has a DEI policy. We're definitely leading the charge on this one. And this kind of ties together a lot of the work that's been going on in the last 5 years. And so if you guys have any feedback on that, please send it to myself or Dr. Porter, and we'll bring that to the policy committee if there is any. Otherwise, that'll come up for a second read at our next meeting. So on to the block of policies that we're reviewing on the timeline. So there are 4 policies that had changes in them. And in most of those policies, BDE, school committee subcommittees, BIA, orientation of school committee members, BBAB, school committee authority to assign diplomas, and BBAA, committee member authority. A lot of those were small, insignificant contextual changes, but we wanted to make sure that those were included, clarifying some language in our ongoing review of policies to make sure that they are inclusive and gender neutral. Some of the changes were made to those policies to keep those in line with that goal as well. And then the subcommittee policy was updated since we have finance and facilities is now considered one subcommittee, so we've included that in that policy. The rest of the policies, which is in the agenda under the section B policy, there's 15 in there. We reviewed them. The policy committee's not recommended any changes to those. And a lot of them are procedural policies. Many of them refer to town charter and how we handle some of those, so there's not really much for us to change. But we reviewed them just to make sure. So if you have feedback on any of those, again, email myself or Dr. Porter, and we'll review those and include them if necessary. So in total, barring any major changes at our next meeting, we'll have 20 policies for second read and approval.
Wow. We look forward to it. And I think with that, we have reached 7.0 adjournment, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.